Good evening and welcome to the August 17, 2016 legislative session of the Penfield Town Board. I'll officially call the meeting to order, and I'll ask everyone to please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Cole.
Here.
LaFountain.
Here.
Metzler.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Quinn.
Here. Great, thank you. The first item on the agenda is our communications and announcements, and I'll first recognize our town clerk, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. School tax bills will be mailed on August 31st. If you don't receive your bill by September 8th, please contact the tax receiver at 340-8625. Also, if you plan on traveling at that time, please contact the tax office to make special mailing arrangements. Also, the third annual golf tournament to benefit the Penfield Ecumenical Food Shelf will be held on Monday, August 29th at Shadow Lake Golf Course. Registration for the tournament and lunch will begin at 11 a.m. with a shotgun start at noon. A dinner immediately following the tournament will be held at Don's Original Restaurant at 2055 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road. For more information, please visit Don's Restaurant and pub.com or call John at 585-377-1040.
Great, thank you. Mr. Quinn.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Good evening, everyone. Director Jerry Argetsinger of the Penfield Players will hold auditions for their fall play, Murder Weapon, on Monday, August 29th and Wednesday, August 31st at 7 p.m. at the Penfield Community Center, 1985 Baird Road. Murder Weapon is an ingeniously plotted, highly tense thriller from Brian Clemens, creator of the 1960s television series The Avengers and author of Inside Job, Without Trace, and Strictly Murder. Auditions can be a prepared monologue or a cold reading from the script. Headshots and acting resume are not required but are helpful. The show dates will be held in late October and early November. For more information, check the Penfield Players website at penfieldplayers.org or their Facebook page. Thank you.
Mrs. Messler.
Just one announcement this evening. Autism Up will be presenting their 4th annual Kite Flight Parade, Festival, and Expo this Saturday, August 20th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Rothfuss Park. The parade will begin promptly at 11 a.m. and consist of a marked course in the park. Some of the event proceeds will help support the expansion and enhancement of the Autism Up education programs and services here locally. Don't miss this great family fun-filled event featuring displays, demonstrations, kids' activities, games, raffles, music, food, and much more. To learn more about Autism Up, please visit their website at autismup.org. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Just a short reminder, this is the last legislative session before Labor Day, but all of the town offices will be closed on Monday, September 5th, Labor Day. We'll be open back up on Tuesday the 6th. Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Just one quick announcement. The Penfield Rec Fall Brochure 2016 brochure has been mailed out to most residents, and you should have received them in your mailbox. This brochure is filled with hundreds of programs offered from now until the year end. You can also view the brochure online at penfieldrec.org. Registration for the programs begin Tuesday, September 6th. Popular programs do fill up quickly, so early registration is highly suggested. Thank you.
And Mrs. Cole.
The Penfield Public Library is holding its 40th annual Penfield Used Book Sale from September 13th through September 17th at the Penfield Community Center. The library's Board of Trustees would like to congratulate the Friends of the Library on its 40th year by hosting an annual book sale. To show their support, the public is invited on September 14th at 4 p.m. for the kickoff celebration. The book sale is the major fundraiser for the Friends of the Penfield Public Library. The money that is earned enables the library to fund special equipment and services. The quality of the merchandise and the degree of the categorization makes the book sale famous throughout Monroe County. For specific times and detailed information, please visit the website at penfieldlibrary.org. And the other announcement I have is my next community chat will be Tuesday, September 20th from 5:30 to 7 in the new book area at the library. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Move on to public participation. There are 2 opportunities to address the board on any topic at this time and also at the end of the meeting. You can do that several ways. If you're here in the audience, you can address the board here at the podium. You can call in at 340-8771, or you can log on at penfield.org. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on any matter?
Catherine Burke.
All right. Catherine, welcome.
We live at 91 Panorama Trail, and we're in that short section of Panorama Trail starting at Browncroft Boulevard. It's probably only 3/4 of a mile long, but where the speed limit is 25 miles an hour. And that road was designed, the homes were built fairly close to the road at that time because the road originally was not intended to go down to Penfield Road. And people are going over that speed limit. I've spoken with the sheriff's office. They're going to send one of their the devices that tells the speed of
Radar.
the cars.
Yeah, the
Yes.
radar.
They're going to do that. They said the driveways are so obvious, people would see them sitting there to do a speed trap. I really would like to see more signage. There are young children along the street, and just July 23rd, a car was speeding on the road. He flipped in my next-door neighbor's yard, went sideways through his yard, through my yard, hit a tree, and had any of my grandchildren or my next-door neighbor's grandchildren been in the yard, it would have been just a calamity. So I really feel that something should be done, and I feel the town should really look into this.
Okay.
And maybe just signage. I'm not asking for speed bumps, but just some kind of extra signage saying there are children in the area, you've got to slow down.
Okay. One of the things that, a couple of things, Catherine, you're not the first person that has raised that recently. Spoke with a gentleman at 131 Panorama Trail recently and reached out to Captain Ott from the Monroe County Sheriff's Department. And they have a horseshoe that comes out. So they're past Farmbrook and into that little S curve there. And he's indicated that he would give permission for the sheriff to sit there because as they come around the corner, that is a blind, and unlike maybe where your driveway is, that they see him. As soon as they see him, they slow right down type of thing. So they're going to do that. He did tell me that he was going to be doing the speed trailer. And then I think the other thing that might be helpful is, for our transportation committee to take a look at it. So on our transportation committee, we have representatives from the town, county, and the state DOTs, as well as a number of residents. And we can ask to have a review done of the signage of that area to see if, in fact, any additional or modifications to anything that's there today to see if that might be beneficial.
Okay.
So, but
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And our Transportation Committee next meets right after Labor Day, and I'll just ask to have that item put on the agenda. In the meantime, I'll continue to stay in contact with John Ott, Captain Ott, and to have his folks there from time to time.
Thank you.
Okay. Good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Zachary and John Wilkie.
Zach, welcome.
Thank you.
We know that the good-looking guy behind you, but I think this is our first time honor and privilege of getting to know you, so welcome to the town board.
Thanks. I
All
live
right.
at 24 Winterberry Circle, and over the summer I've been doing driver's ed where I've been biking, and I always walk across the crosswalks right in front of the community center just to get there, but a lot of the time people don't yield to me. I've had state troopers drive by while I'm waiting there, and they won't even yield to me. And I mean, just the other day, I stopped there, and the guy was up at I'd say the building for the cemetery. So I started walking across, and it's a 35-mile-an-hour road, which means usually people have time to stop for that distance. But he was driving at least 45 miles an hour, which is what most people probably do, 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. And he started slowing down a few seconds later, and he came to a full stop after I came across rolled down his window and started screaming at me, "What are you doing? You're not supposed to be here." And I said, "This is a crosswalk. This is a yield to pedestrian. What are you talking about?" And he just shook his head and drove off. So what we'd like to see done there is possibly a speed reduction, because even if the speed is down to 25 miles an hour, that means people will be driving probably somewhere around 35, which is the speed that's meant to be driven on that road. Or something like I've seen at the Scribner Elementary School at the crosswalk, you can push the button and flashing lights go off,
Right.
which really brings more attention to the crosswalk. And especially at a community center where there are kids, families, we're just walking around, it's really just not safe for people to think that they have the right of way when they're still driving.
So
Well,
this is, I'm sorry, John. So this is on Baird Road?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's two of them there.
Okay. There are two of them there. So that was going to be my next question is, which one, or is it an issue obviously for both?
It's a problem with both of them.
Well, one of the things Zachary brought up to me, Grandpa, was that he's almost afraid to put his foot out on the road. In theory, that's when you're supposed to activate the crosswalk, that you have to step off the curb onto the road, which in his mind is not logical.
Not safe.
So to build on this with the situation we just heard before is that, here he is, we've all got grandchildren, we've all trying to grow up in the town. Why can't we focus on these types of tools that are out there? Saran and I, as Linda knows, we walk around the block a lot. We walk down the Panorama, been hit, not hit, but hit twice, because in crosswalks, they don't care. The mentality of our drivers, and probably some of us in here, is we're too busy, we're running, and we're going, and the cars are quiet. I got to admit that. But what I think we were trying to build out of this was maybe an awareness program. Now, I went online. Now, I've talked to the Transportation Committee, and the Transportation Committee had a request for a blinker type crosswalk in April to look at out in front of the library there. And as far as I talked to Mark, I think it is, this
Mark
morning.
Valentine?
And
Mark Valentine?
it's the best I can say it is, it's in committee. So I'll leave it at that. My point is that this is past committee. We don't need too much analysis to understand the situation out there. Zachary just called me up and said, I almost got hit. So I looked up online, there is scads of information. I've got hundreds of pages from committees, or from groups that have put together Residents' Guide for Creating Safer Communities for Walking and Biking. 100 pages present their summary. There's another one here, Pedestrian Safety Action. Another one, 100 pages on a PDF. I didn't print them all out, but I put the header out. And then there's another one here, and this is the one that maybe we could do something with, and it's called Walk-Friendly Communities. Now, Walk-Friendly Communities is nationwide. Do you know how many towns in New York State have been certified walk-friendly? A lot of towns in New York State.
Yep. One?
One, Saratoga Springs. So a thought was maybe Transportation Gang could pick up, there's a whole package on this. This thing is documented that we as a town could get certified as a walk-friendly town. Then we could engage everybody into this, we could start getting more awareness, and they claim that once you're on that, your town becomes more valuable because it's a walk-friendly and it shows that type of energy. So we weren't going to just complain. We wanted to suggest as a potential, as maybe this is something that we could engage in, and maybe at some stop these, or at least we can start to get more awareness. I'm not sure that half of this is not just people forgetting that there are people walking and using bikes. Zach told me again by Speedy's, or the, not Speedy, Speedway.
Brugger's, yeah, the-
Brugger's over there.
Brugger's.
He got run over again by a car. They don't-
Almost, yeah. I had to put my bike into a full skid to stop from a car that didn't even do anything. She just pulled into the parking lot.
They don't even look.
And she kind of gave me a quick little glance and drove off.
Now, we had a person get pretty well beat up there in Fairport when they were using the crosswalk. They came across and got hit one car and then got hit by the second car in the opposite direction.
Right.
So all I'm suggesting is maybe something we could do as a team project. It would look for good for Penfield, it would create some awareness, and at the same time, hey, maybe we'd save a few lives or
Keep
make it
somebody
better.
from getting hurt. Right.
Just a thought.
Okay.
right.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Zach, thank you very much. Thanks for taking the time to come in.
Yeah, and thank Zach, I mean, showing him that
Absolutely.
you can, instead of just complaining, we can do
Come
something.
in with a solution, or some solutions, so,
Okay.
good.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks, Zach. Thank you, John.
You can go down there. He's got to go home and do homework.
I don't
Anyone
have
else?
anybody else.
Okay. Ed?
Back a few months ago, the Conservation Board was approached by Jim Costello, and we were
And I'll
introduced...
just indicate Ed Linsku from,
40 Willow Pond Way, excuse me.
yep, not a
Thought I
problem.
was a
You're just so
celebrity.
excited to get right into it.
Yeah. New York State prohibited and regulated invasive plants. In doing the work that I've been doing at Willow Pond Woods and clearing the trails and so on and so forth, one plant that has come to mind is that's invading the town is called pale swallowwort. It's like a morning glory vine, but it grows all over the place and it crowds out all other native vegetation. And this is a program that the Conservation Board looked into. We had a presentation done. This pamphlet is put out by New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and New York State Department of Ag and Markets. I would suggest that the town pursue this with the Conservation Board and kind of get an inventory of what's going on in the town and see how we can fight. I mean, there's pages and pages of invasive species here. This is one of the more ones that
More prevalent.
widely spread, you know,
Yeah.
and spread
Can you
rapidly.
repeat the name of that?
Pardon?
Repeat the name of the...
Pale swallow.
Pale swallowwort, SWALLOW WORT.
Thank you.
It's a low-growing vine, but it just takes over everything. I noticed it in my property over by the high school, and I was surprised to find it in the woods by Willow Pond, but there's about an acre of it over there now. The only way that I know to get rid of it other than herbicides is to pull it out by the
Pull it
roots.
out by the roots.
Yeah,
And you probably never always get all the roots.
no, but you can slow it down.
Slow it down. Okay.
Thank you.
So this is from DEC? That pamphlet is from DEC?
That's correct,
Okay.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll get to Mark Valentine and his team, because I think it would be good to get maybe some additional copies of this.
Okay, I think some members of the Conservation Board picked up this brochure when the presentation,
When
I
the
think the
presentation was there.
presentation was given during the winter. Most of
Okay.
us attended it, but then the issue kind of died.
Okay.
So I think it needs to be revised.
All right. I will, I'll bring that to Mark's attention as well.
Thank you, because
All right.
I'm sure it's going to be into our parks, and then it's going to be very difficult to get rid of.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Ed. Thank you. I'm sure it might even be there already. All right. Anyone else would like to address the board on any matter? Mr. Gallagher?
Kevin Gallagher, 1973 Dublin Road. And it's good to have some people in the audience which actually have some topics I can speak to. The pale swallowwort has been around for a long time. It is excessively hard to get rid of. Herbicides do not touch it. It wounds it. It has to be sprayed on at certain times of the year, and even that isn't totally effective. So I don't want to say we're doomed, but mechanical removal might be the only way. I also understand that it doesn't like moist conditions, but continually watering an acre of property just to kill out one plant is probably not going to be effective.
Yeah.
So, and it's all over the place, the state canal paths, and it's already in many of the parks. I've been fighting it for about 7 years, mechanically removing the roots, and each time I get about 80%, and it still seems to come up. So, the other topic that I can address, I had a paragraph discussing traffic safety. I was going to say that I am still waiting on some action from the town board related to safety actions. One of them is the review of the sidewalk policy that dates back more than 3 years, and also more recently I requested a review of the street lighting policy, and I've presented a calming and enforcement plan. It is important to engage members of the community, and if there are enough of them that want to participate, I believe we could come up with a solution that improves the safety of this community. To the main topic that I'd like to speak on. Just a review. In 2010, during the review of the Town Comprehensive Plan, I told this board in public that I believe that there was a problem including golf courses within the category of open space. As it turns out, now one of the shadows is at risk for considerable development. Now, I don't enjoy coming here. I do so because I believe it's my duty as a citizen. Your response to me has to be based on the best interest of this community. When I say something, suggest something, or request something, I do so for a good reason. I believe my requests today are in the best interests for both the town and this board. Neighbors have expressed an opposition to a bar within a residential neighborhood for various reasons. This is a response to the proposed incursion of an alcohol-related business into our neighborhood, not just Oak and Apple. We consider Hard Cidery Tasting Room as a bar. We don't want the sale and service of alcohol in our neighborhoods, and you probably don't want the sale of alcohol in your neighborhoods either. The production of alcohol is a commercial or industrial activity. So my first request is please revise the town zoning to restrict alcohol-related activities to where they belong, either in commercial or industrial zones, not residential zones. As there are still dry communities in New York State, this shouldn't be a problem, and ag and markets should not be able to intervene in this issue. Now, I have some comments from a petition. I thought I'd hit on a couple of those quickly. First one, I am very concerned about possible accidents caused by adding increased traffic and alcohol as a nearby already dangerous neighborhood. Another comment, this proposal, which includes alcohol production and sales, does not fit the character of the neighborhood or community. So it's not just my words, it's other members of the community that share this opinion. Shifting topics somewhat, my question is, whose responsibility is it to identify violations of conservation easements, report violations, and properly address the violations?
So if you believe that there is a violation, you or anyone else could turn that into to the town for our review and follow-up. So is there a specific question within your question?
Yes, we have reported that the fence at Dublin Hill is a violation of the conservation easement, and we have provided the reasons why. It is specifically mentioned within the conservation easement, the wording for fencing, and it also includes other violations of the conservation easement that would prevent a fence. So that notification has already been provided to the town.
Okay. So I'll say that that matter around the conservation easement and Oak and Apple, that has been reviewed by our town attorney and counsel of the town attorney, and that matter has been turned back to the planning board, and the town council does not believe that there is that violation.
Are you saying that the enforcement of the conservation easement is a matter for the planning board?
What I'm saying is that the determination was made that the fence is not in violation.
When was that determination made?
Was made as part of the review that the town attorney and counsel of the town attorney provided to the town board.
I have reviewed that, and I do not believe I've seen that specific issue addressed.
Okay.
So I'm requesting that be readdressed and somehow documented, because
Okay.
we're in the dark. We've reported it, and we really have had no feedback on that particular issue.
Okay.
So I believe that the open spaces that include the conservation easements need some sort of protections, and I am suggesting that the Open Space Committee take on some of those roles. What I would suggest for them, A, create procedures for responding to development related to conservation easements. B, create procedures for responding to violations to conservation easements. C, establish safeguards that are automatically activated for easement properties. D, document and record current easement conditions on properties. E, evaluate current easement-related conditions and compare to the baseline conditions. And F, identify possible violations for of the easements. I believe that the Open Space Committee would be best suited to do that. In September 2015, the town board made a mistake in believing that there was a farmstead for every subdivision within the Wilms Conservation Easement. Now, I have a question relating to that. Does that mean that for every tax ID subdivision, there is a farmstead? And the alternative is there a farmstead for every property subdivision? As currently there are four
Parcel numbers.
4 tax ID numbers, and there are 2 property owners. And I believe the statement, the easement clearly states that there is a farmstead. A would equal 1, not 2 or 4 or 25, which is the far end of consideration. So I would like some clarification as to how many farmsteads are actually in place at this time.
Okay. So noted.
Okay. I don't know if there's a pen available. One of these, I'll give it a try.
Okay.
The reason this question is important is because currently the subdivision for tax IDs is not being monitored or evaluated. If someone were interested in placing a farmstead in a specific location, for instance, if you had a property with a prime location, such as a hilltop, they may want to place their farmstead in that location right there. Now, if they were following your interpretation of the rules, they could subdivide the property into a couple of parcels and say, we are entitled to a farmstead on this parcel. And this would be contrary to the intent of the easement and the best interests with regard to preserving the conservation easement, specifically view sheds, lines of sight, other issues. So
Based on your opinion.
my opinion based on the conservation easement, yes.
But based on your opinion of reading the easement.
That is correct.
Okay.
My experienced opinion of reading the easement.
Okay. And do you have a legal background?
I do not. However,
All right. No, I just
Well-
needed to know. I mean, it's a yes or no question.
I understand that, but I have read it, and it is written in plain wording, which with references to legal terms that can be easily researched, so that it is not a coded document. It is something that people in general can understand if they take the time to do so.
Okay.
So in 2002, when the easement was signed and enacted, there were 3 tax IDs and 1 property owner. Sometime before 2008, the property was subdivided, and then there were 4 tax IDs related to the conservation easement. A subnote on that would be, I believe the original owner may have been in the process of selling the property, and they broke out the homestead locations, which included their personal house and some service buildings, and which were the original farmstead, essentially. So at some time prior to 2015, the properties sold again, and now there are 2 property subdivision owners. Without any documentation to the contrary, and I've requested this information, the right preventing subdivision has been violated. That is my interpretation of the conservation easement. There are provisions within the conservation easement that include the wording "no waivers," which means there are things you cannot do without following the procedures. You cannot bypass them. In addition, according to the easement, the town of Penfield had first refusal to purchase the Dublin Hill parcel. There is no record the town was ever afforded that first refusal. Therefore, it's my opinion that the right to first refusal was violated. Oak and Apple has built a new fence that is not reasonably necessary, is not appropriate, and interferes with the purposes and intent of the easement.
Based on your opinion.
I don't know why you have to keep trying to...
No, I'm just based on your opinion.
I am stating my opinion. I am
Okay.
here public speaking, and I feel that you're trying to undermine my discussion.
I'm not trying to do that.
So, as of now, there has been no response to that. These are 3 instances where rights of the easement have not been protected. The remedies for these violations are contained within the easement if you know where to look. There is a right to restoration. That right includes the ability to discover something after the fact and then still be able to restore it. There is no time limit on that. On August 3rd, I tried to get answers and clarification from the board and council. I believe I stated and provided information that shows that council made false or misleading, unsupported, and conflicting statements. Council was unable to demonstrate and prove Oak and Apple has a right to designate a farmstead. In fact, some conflicted statements support our position, and that position is they have no right to create a farmstead. There was reference to protected farming activities. Growing apples or grapes or corn is a protected activity. Building a cider mill is not a protected activity. It is not a primary farming activity. It is not a farm area activity. It is not mentioned in 301-2. The farmstead section of the easement includes a list of buildings that can be built within a farmstead. However, there is no farmstead. A list of buildings does not equal a right to designate a farmstead. Now, this may become a revelation to you, an epiphany. It actually is obvious, and you may kick yourself for not realizing this. The right to create a farmstead is in the section called farmstead. I'm not being sarcastic, but when you look at a huge document like that, it's easy to get lost in all the paragraphs and terminology. The other sections of that easement talk about other things. The farmstead section talks about farmsteads. Specifically, the only sentence that states the right to create a farmstead is this one. The grantor reserves the right to designate a farmstead area for a winery within the conservation easement conveyed by grantor to grantee. It says, a farmstead area for a winery. These are valid restrictions that are being ignored. There are other restrictions. This right is not stated anyplace else. If someone else disagrees with this analysis, I'm inviting them to please provide the proof to that. I'm going to say the sentence again because it is the most important sentence. The grantor reserves the right to designate a farmstead for a winery within the conservation easement conveyed by grantor to grantee. On August 9th, I stated I would follow up with specific questions to the earlier meeting. Within 10 days, council needs to fully review that document. They need to make corrections, clarifications, and/or deletions to specific statements made on July 27th as counsel to the board. Another option is to withdraw their statements entirely. Also, the questions I've asked must be answered. This town board needs to be able to answer those questions, especially with the upcoming planning board meeting. I recognize that there are many questions, but most of them are simple questions. And for some of those questions, the answer is going to be unknown. Additionally, we, the people who are trying to protect Dublin Hill, we need to know the answers to those questions before, with enough time to plan before the 7th of September meeting. Discussion of counsel and expertise. You would not ask counsel to diagnose and repair trucks for snowplows or computers or broadcast systems. You would ask someone with specific expertise. While the conservation easement is a matter of law, it is a specific category which requires specific expertise. Humans learn more from mistakes than success. So please use the mistakes as a catalyst to engage in a specialist to protect the rights of the conservation easement. We believe we've witnessed some misconduct, so it is essentially important that Oak and Apple people are paying attention to this meeting. As citizens, it is our responsibility to report misconduct. This is the last chance to make amends for the behavior. Please do the right thing. September 8th is too late. You made decisions that you are, let me start again. You made decisions and you are making decisions. These decisions affect every resident in the town of Penfield. In order for you to make informed decisions, each of you needs to be able to answer the following questions. And I would say you would have to do so in public at some point. I'm not asking that right now. But the questions are, where does the right to designate a farmstead reside? Specifically, what sentence? Second question is, does that right reside in any other place? If yes, where? Whether it's in the easement or some other legal document. 3, is the town required to protect the rights within the conservation easement? So, to review, there are some things I am asking the town tonight. I'm asking you to activate the Open Space Committee. I'm also asking you to vacate or nullify the September 2015 Farmstead Resolution. I'm asking that you change zoning to restrict alcohol-related activities. I'm asking for corrections for statements from July 27th. I'm also asking for questions. I would like the answers to the questions from my comments on August 3rd and my follow-up on August 9th. And I am reiterating my request for a specialist attorney to protect the conservation easement. I set up the online petition, and part of that process is that I said that I would deliver, and so that would be my final thing to do at this time. So I'm delivering the list of names addresses, and there's also a list of comments from many of those members of the community and nearby communities. Thank you.
You'll give those to the clerk? Thank you. She'll make sure that copies go to the town board as well as the town attorneys.
Again, thank you.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to address the board on any matter? Okay, seeing none. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda this evening? Seeing none. We have the minutes of July 6th before us, 2016. Would entertain a motion of approval for those minutes.
I move that the minutes of July 6th be approved.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Call.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Since the last meeting, has the town board or town clerk received any new petitions?
No.
Okay, seeing none, move on to resolution by function, starting with law and finance, please.
Authorization to maintain properties and assess the charges to the 2017 property tax bills.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the purpose of the Town Code of the Town of Penfield includes, among other things, to provide for the safety, health protection, and general welfare of persons and properties in the town, and by requiring maintenance of such properties. Whereas the property owner at 1297 Thistleberry Lane has failed to maintain subject property. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Penfield hereby authorizes the Fire Marshal and Building, Zoning, and Code Compliance Supervisor to have the property properly maintained. Be it further resolved that the Town Board further authorizes that said cost of this maintenance and any additional maintenance during the 2016 season be charged to the 2017 property tax bill for that property. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no further discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. 2016 budget amendment, recognition of donation to Deer Program and children's programs.
Moved.
Second.
Whereby in June, July, and August of 2016, the Recreation Department received donations to the Daytime Education at Recreation, otherwise known as the DEER program, by several in memory of Mary Leone, and one donation for the children's programming totaling $250. Seymour and Margaret Shankman, $25. Megda White, $5. Those are in memory of. The Wednesday Tea Group, in $95 in memory. Margaret Brennan, $50. Mary Infantino, $25. Margaret Brennan, again, $50 to the children's program. And whereas the town board desires to have an up-to-date budget in relation to income and expenditures, be it resolved the following 2016 budget amendments be approved. In the General Reserve Fund for the DEER program, increase amount $200. Band concerts for $50. General Fund appropriations for daytime education at recreation, or DEER, an increased amount of $200, and band concerts for $50. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Approval of out-of-district user status for the property located at 1271 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas William J. Jr. and Laura Vendel, owners of the property at 1271 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road in the town of Penfield, have requested an out-of-town district user status for sanitary sewer service. Now therefore be it resolved that an agreement as provided in the town board's resolution number 83 of 1982 be executed between said property owner and the town board of the town of Penfield, providing for out-of-district user status for the property located at 1271 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole?
Aye.
LaFountain?
Aye.
Metzler?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Awarding a contract for the construction related to Willow Pond Outfall Modification Project.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the town of Penfield maintains the Willow Pond Stormwater Control Facility that is located on the boundary of the town of Penfield and the town of Perrington. Whereas the pond is regulated by the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation due to the presence of a dam. Whereas the town of Penfield desires to have the Willow Pond Dam downgraded from a Class C high hazard dam to a Class B medium hazard dam, as it complies with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation regulations. Whereas sealed proposals were sought and duly advertised for the project as outlined within specifications. Whereas on Friday, August 5th, 2016, the following sealed bid proposals for the project were opened and read publicly by the town clerk. Keeler Construction at $193,000 and some change, and Villager Construction at $274,000 and some change. Therefore, both bids were evaluated, and the bid summary submitted by Keeler Construction was found to be the lowest bid for the specified improvements, and it met the town bidding requirements. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the contract for the above property, or for the above project by Keeler Construction be approved for $193,176.70. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion.
Mr. Supervisor, I would just like to add, for this particular resolution, I'll be approving the resolution because basically we don't have a choice to do this. I said in the work session, and we've talked about and vetted this project and the situation for a couple years now, and I really think that this is a classic example of an unfunded mandate passed down by the state of New York, particularly through the Department of Environmental Conservation. I mean, this dam, they call it, was a Class C dam, categorized as a high hazard dam. Class C dam, as defined, speaks to dam failure can cause loss of life, serious damage to homes, buildings, and highways. I really find it hard to believe that this really deserved the classification of a Class C dam. Cobb's Hill Reservoir was, I think, the closest Class C dam I could find, and I think Mount Morris Dam is somewhere in that range. I'm not 100% sure of its classification, but it's being downsized to a Class B. But even a Class B dam is categorized as medium hazard dam. And so when we look at how this transpired, we are here today in this town, and the taxpayers of this town are now forced to spend basically $193,000 for improvements to this dam. Personally, I think this probably could have been classified as an A dam, low hazard. But I'm not going to pretend that I'm an expert on dam classifications or the guidelines to the State Department of Environmental Conservation. But we don't get reimbursed, we don't get refunded for this particular project. We basically get told, this is what you need to do, and you're stuck paying for it. And so the town of Penfield is stuck paying for $193,000 for what was classified as a high hazard dam, now is classified as a medium hazard dam, and I just don't think that's very fair. But as I see it, based on conversations with counsel to the town, that we don't have a choice and we need to proceed and do this. So I just wanted to make that as a matter of record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Further discussions? Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole?
Aye.
LaFountain?
Aye.
Metzler?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Setting a public hearing for the establishment of extension number 59 to the Penfield Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District. It's Windsor Ridge Subdivision, 2826 Atlantic Avenue.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas a written petition was received by the Penfield Town Board, duly dated and verified to contain the required signatures, and having presented to and filed with the Town Board of the Town of Penfield for the establishment of the extension number 59 to the Penfield Consolidated Sanitary Sewer. Whereas the improvements proposed consist of sanitary sewer pipes hardware, and all the necessary equipment thereto for the purpose of constructing said sewer lines. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Penfield shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on the 21st day of September 2016 at 7 p.m. to consider the petitions and to hear all persons interested and concerned about this particular position or this particular petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussions? Seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Setting a public hearing for the establishment of extension number 58 to the Penfield Consolidated Sanitary Sewer District, Barclay Park Subdivision, 1213 Fairport 9 Mile Point Road.
Moved.
Second.
This one will be pretty much similar to the one that I just read, but a written petition was received by the Penfield Town Board, duly dated and verified to contain the required signatures, and having been presented and filed with the Town Board and the Town of Penfield for the establishment of extension number 58 to the Penfield Consolidated Sanitary Sewer. The improvements consist of sanitary sewer pipes, lines, hardware, and appropriate equipment for the purpose of constructing said sewer. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Penfield shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on the 21st day of September 2016 at 7 p.m. on said date to consider the petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Approval of issuance of a conditional use permit to allow a deck and additional outdoor dining and a larger freestanding sign than permitted at 1776-1778 Penfield Road.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas an application was received by the Town Board for the use of a conditional use permit pursuant to 250-12.2 of the Town Code for an additional outdoor dining and large freestanding sign at 1776 and 1778 Penfield Road, located in the Four Corners zoning district. Whereas the Town Board of the Town of Penfield held a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on August 3rd, 2016, to consider the application and to hear all those persons interested in this conditional use permit. Now therefore be it resolved that the applicant's request for a conditional use permit to allow the construction of a 20-foot by 22-foot deck in front of the former T-Bones and now Bistro 1778 restaurant for outdoor dining is hereby granted, subject to the following conditions. For the record, Mr. Supervisor, there are roughly 13 conditions. Almost all of these conditions under my review are consistent with past restaurant zoning or conditional zoning permits that we've issued over the years for outdoor dining or those restaurateurs that are wishing to have outdoor dining in the Four Corners zoning district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Further discussion? I think the only other item just to mention on this, we did have a neighbor that came in to speak with regards to general safety, and part of the work that town staff did and as part of this resolution is to put in an additional sign to help that traffic safety for that neighbor. With that, and seeing no further discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Setting a public hearing for the establishment of the Windsor Ridge Subdivision Special Improvement District.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas a written petition was received by the Town Board and having the required signatures and filed with the Town Board for the establishment of the Windsor Ridge Subdivision Special Improvement District. Whereas the proposed improvements consist of maintenance of all public areas and betterments, such as the stormwater treatment facility, subdivision identification signs, and other items deemed appropriate within the subdivision. Whereas the cost of the installation of the improvements associated with the Windsor Ridge Subdivision Special Improvement District were borne by the developer of said subdivision. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Penfield shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on the 21st of September 2016 at 7 p.m. to consider the petition and to hear all persons interested in the subject thereof and concerning the same, and for such other actions on part of the town board with relation to the petition as may be required by law. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Cole?
Aye.
LaFountain?
Aye.
Metzler?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Setting a public hearing for the adoption of local law number 2 of 2016 to be known as the Town of Penfield Best Value Contract Award Law.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the town board of the town of Penfield wishes to consider adopting proposed local law 2 of 2016, which puts into effect a best value contract award law. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Penfield shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on September 21st, 2016 at 7 p.m. to consider said proposal and to hear all persons interested in the question of the adoption of local law 2 of 2016 that would put into effect a best value contract award law. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole?
Aye.
LaFountain?
Aye.
Metzler?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Award a contract for market value appraisal of Shadow Pines, 600 Wayland Road, Penfield, New York, 14526.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the town of Penfield, or I'm sorry, whereas the Penfield Town Board requested proposals to provide for an appraisal report to determine market value based on highest and best use of the property formerly known as Shadow Pines Golf Course. Whereas on Tuesday, August 12, 2016 at 5 p.m., responses to the RFP were received from Pogel, Shubmill, and Ferrara LLC, Gar Associates Incorporated, Midland Appraisal Associates, CNY Pomeroy Appraisals, KLW Appraisal Group, and Bruckner Tillett Rossi Cahill and Associates Real Estate Appraisal Firm. Whereas Pogel, Shubmill, and Ferrara LLC were determined to be the lowest overall responsible bidder, meeting the specifications set forth in the RFP. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby authorizes the town supervisor to sign an agreement with Pogel, Shubmill, and Ferrara LLC at 2509 Browncroft Boulevard in a form acceptable to the town attorney.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole?
Aye.
LaFountain?
Aye.
Metzler?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Setting a public hearing to consider the establishment of the Windsor Ridge Subdivision Intensified Sidewalk District Number 19.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the Town of Penfield sidewalk policy requires sidewalks along roadways in new subdivisions, and whereas the developer of the Windsor Ridge subdivision, located at 2628 Atlantic Avenue, has provided a petition for the formation of the sidewalk district. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the Town of Penfield shall hold a public hearing at the Penfield Town Hall on the 21st day of September at 7 p.m. to consider the adoption of the Windsor Ridge Intensified Sidewalk District.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole?
Aye.
LaFountain?
Aye.
Metzler?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for supervisor to sign recreation contracts.
So moved.
Second.
This resolution authorizes the town supervisor to sign 15 recreation contracts, and they're all dealing with the programs that are taking place that are identified in the new recreation brochure in the fall.
Great, thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please.
Cole?
Aye.
LaFountain?
Aye.
Metzler?
Aye.
Moore?
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Next item on the agenda is old business. Any old business to come before the board this evening? Seeing none. New business. Any new business to come before the board this evening? Again, seeing none. Brings us to our second public participation. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on any matter? Seeing none and seeing no further business to come before the town board, the August 17th, 2016 legislative session of the town board stands adjourned at 8:01 p.m. Thank you for those that participated. Thank you to Penfield TV.
Aye.